You're listening to Beyond the 9 to 5, a podcast that inspires entrepreneurs to push for more, passionately fulfill their dreams, and own your life. My name is Brenda Leopold, the Chief Visionary and founder of World Headquarters, the next evolution in co-working spaces. On this show, I sit down with entrepreneurs to hear their stories, share insights, and look behind the scenes of becoming an entrepreneur. This is Beyond the 9 to 5. Welcome, Sue. It's great to have you here today on the show. You and I have known each other for a long time, but I'm actually excited to sit down and talk a little bit more about your business and where you're at. And so first things first, can you share with me what it is you do in your business?
Absolutely. So I am an aging life care manager, commonly known or formerly known as a geriatric care manager. The term was changed a few years ago because care manager is used very vaguely or very broadly, I should say, and by many different entities and organizations. So aging life care manager really identifies us, and I like it because I'm working not just with geriatrics, but more and more I'm working with a lot of younger folks. It's harder when I'm working with folks the same age as or younger than I am.
Is that a little bit too much of an eye-opener?
It's a little disconcerting, but I'm seeing it more and more often.
Sure.
There's real needs out there for baby boomers. I'm seeing a whole lot more just needing that care support and guidance, and very often the caregiver coaching aspect of it, who are caring for their aging parents. So in my role as an aging life care manager, I'm really helping I say older adults, but the adults with needs and or their families to help determine and coordinate and manage their care needs. Sometimes it might just be support, giving them the guidance. Have you tried this? Have you looked at that? Sometimes it's determining what their needs are, doing that personal and in-home safety assessment and making recommendations to keep mom or dad at home as safely and independently as possible. Or, if that's not the best option, then what are the other options, be it assisted living or, moving to a smaller place or, simply downsizing or nursing home, worst case scenario. So just really helping people to manage that whole maze of care services.
So for someone like me who hasn't had that experience, fortunately, my parents are healthy and I'm very blessed in that way right now. But what does that look like? Like, what kind of activities do you participate in? And how do you, if I was managing my parents' care, let's say, what would that look like?
Very often it starts with a family meeting, say for instance with you and your parents or,
siblings if they were
siblings,
there.
Siblings, exactly. Okay. I just did another broadcast this morning about holding family meetings. So very often that's a very integral part of it to get everybody's perspective on, what do you feel the needs and concerns are and what would you like to see done? And then, helping to bring everybody together to make the best decisions in mom or dad's best interests. I try to make it be joint decision making, but there's times when the family says, we're paying you to be the expert, just tell us what to do.
Oh, sure.
And
which
very
is
often
probably a gift in a lot of
Exactly.
situations. Having somebody that you can say, I really just can't do this. I need someone to do it for me.
Yep.
Yeah.
And sometimes I tell families, let me do that so that you let me be the bad guy. If I have to be the one to say, it's really not safe in your home, I think we need to look at assisted living.
Yeah.
Better they be ticked at me than to be ticked at you as the daughter.
Yeah, especially if you're in those final years.
Exactly.
For sure. Yeah, you want that to be as good an experience as it possibly can be with the limited time you're going to have left. Yeah, for sure. That's really, really, really special, I think, what you can bring.
Well, thanks.
What I'm curious is, how did you get there? How did you end up in this position?
Gosh. Well, I'm an occupational therapy assistant by background. So for the first about 20 years of my career, I worked in rehab, primarily in nursing homes, skilled nursing facilities, doing rehab. And then when I kind of stepped away from that, and it was a lot of the biggest reason was because of government billing. And I always said I hated that our government Medicare billing was making the clock and the paper more important than the patient. And as an occupational therapist, we're taught to be holistic, essentially, look at that person as a whole. And the way our Medicare regulations changed, we couldn't do that. And I hated that part of it. So kind of stepped away from occupational therapy for several years and just did many other things. I managed assisted living and independent senior living. And then I actually managed a dementia care program for almost 5 years.
Oh, wow.
Within a nursing home. And so just through all of those different things, I was, in essence, doing care management.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
just
Yep.
in different realms and from different perspectives. So then over the years, I had a friend who had her own care management business, but I used to tease her that she just kind of did it as a hobby instead of a business. And then she was kind of looking to get out of the business, and things just kind of progressed. I didn't actually take over that business, but eventually knew that there was a need, and this is what I wanted to do. And I just felt that all of the combined experience I'd had and gained over the years was just the natural fit to do this.
Yeah.
So before we started, we were talking about being an entrepreneur, and I never, ever would have envisioned myself as an entrepreneur. But a big part of it, too, was being in positions. They were sales-related positions, and being asked and expected to do things that I
Deliver results.
Yes, that I did not feel comfortable doing.
Sure.
There was one, it was sales at an assisted living, and I basically flat out refused to do what they wanted me to do.
Sure.
I just said, you know, that's not who I am. I'm not going to lie to these people just to keep them, you know, as a contact. That's not who I am, and that's not how I treat people.
Sure. Yeah.
So ultimately, I'd had too many experiences in various jobs where I felt like I was compromising my own ethics and values.
Oh, beautiful.
And that was a real impetus for starting my own business. That
I love it.
the only person I have to answer to at the end of the day is myself.
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful.
And I can live with myself.
Yeah.
Usually.
Well, I don't know. Sometimes I'm my least favorite person.
Exactly. We are. I think we do tend to be our own worst critic very often.
For sure. Absolutely.
But at the same time, I've never looked back either.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. 'Cause the conversation we were kind of having was that, you know, entrepreneurs become entrepreneurs. And I think there's kind of two ways that we've captured today, and then maybe there's others that we'll capture in the future. But the ones that we've kind of captured today are like either one, you just always knew you wanted to have your own business, and you just couldn't figure out the idea until all of a sudden you had that moment, and then there it was, and then you knew that was right because you've wanted all along to be an entrepreneur and own your own business. And, you know, I think there's a large number of people out there maybe even sitting there going, I wish I was a business owner. I just need that idea. I need that invention. I need that whatever. But then I think there's other people, and I think there's probably a really big number of people too that also do it from that empowerment and control piece, where you just get to a point in your career where you know so much about yourself and what you want out of life that you just take control and say, I want to be able to do it my way.
Exactly.
And that's what forces you then to kind of put up with the good and the bad of being a business owner. But I want to know more about that. Like what would you say has been the biggest benefit of being a business owner as far as being able to take control and do something because it's your business and you didn't have accountability to some ownership entity? Is there things you can provide in your care management that you couldn't before that you're really happy about?
Absolutely. Obviously, I'm a billable service. I bill by the hour. But, you know, if I have clients that I know are really struggling, I can make those allowances to say, hey, you know what? I'm not going to bill you for all this time, or just let me do this for you because I want to.
Yeah.
If I were working for an entity, I would not be able to do that.
Right, sure.
You know, so like I say, I only have to answer to myself at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So definitely those things that I can do because they're my decisions.
Yeah.
Something like being here today. You know, obviously, as a business owner, I have to weigh my return on investment and, you know, what's my billable, focusing on my billable time versus my non-billable. But I can be here today because I wanted to. And I'm like, yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and I think sometimes...
we think you made a good choice.
Well, thank you. I do too. But I think if I were working for a company,
Yeah.
It would really be scrutinized
Sure.
sometimes.
Absolutely, yeah.
To do the marketing and networking kind of stuff because, well, how is that gonna serve us? What's
Right.
the return on investment? We don't always know.
Right.
But
Yeah.
it's also giving back as well.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
that's, a big part of what I feel I can do also. Just mentoring other entrepreneurs or, helping other people to say, hey, you can do this. If I could do it, you can do it.
So I think that's something you could definitely add value to people's lives with too and I think on the entrepreneur side is how do you manage like your accountability to your billable hours, and how do you do that though when like you're coming at it from that heart-centered perspective of really just wanting to care for people, and like so how do you kind of keep yourself in a checks and balances though? Is there anything you've learned that helps in that? I mean, obviously we all are a work in progress, but what do you think?
It's an ongoing. And I guess I can give you a very specific example.
Yeah,
and it
I
was
love that.
right here last Tuesday when we have the networking lunch.
Yeah.
And I haven't been to one in months. And I thought, I don't have anything. I can finally make it to that.
Yeah.
But I had just got off of my coaching call with the TLE folks.
Yeah.
And we kind of talked about focus. And, that's where I hung up and I thought, as much as I want to go to that lunch, I have other things that are more directly related to my billable hours. And I just really need to prioritize that.
Yeah.
So sometimes it is that delicate balance of what I want to do versus what I know I should do.
Right.
And I guess as an entrepreneur, I have more freedom in doing the things I want to do versus just the things I know I need to do.
Right.
If I want to do my charting to generate my billable hours at 8:00 tonight, I can.
You can. Exactly. Yeah. But I think you're making the point really well that, with freedom comes responsibility.
Exactly.
So it's that balance of like, we do get all the benefit of the world of having creative freedom wherever we want it and having the freedom to do and choose and gift where we want to, but it's about that responsibility to yourself at the end of the day of making sure that you're being responsible for your business and your success and your needs too. So that's an interesting point.
It is, and sometimes that freedom can kick us in the butt.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe I, should have at the end of the week when I'm looking back and I didn't have a whole lot of billable hours. I'm like, I should have gone to see this person.
Yeah. A little too much grandkid time this one.
Exactly. Well, and that's the other thing too, is it gives me that freedom.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, very often I'm, I have my grandkids on Friday afternoons, and I have that freedom to do that I otherwise wouldn't have.
So, so as a business owner now, and how many years have you been in business now?
It'll be 8 years in July.
I was going to say you've got a good tenure going.
I
That's
do.
Impressive.
I do. Thank
what
you.
is it? It's like 90% fail in the first 18 months. So, you're definitely a seasoned business owner now.
Thank you.
What would you say, looking back on, was maybe one of the better or most substantial lessons that you learned about being a business owner versus being an employee?
I think kind of as I've already alluded to, just being able to be true to myself. Is this going to benefit my clients, but am I going to feel okay with it? Yeah. And I mean, sometimes I have to make crappy decisions for my clients, even in the care of my own mother. That's probably where I struggle the most. I say I do this for a living, and my own mom is my biggest challenge.
Oh, for sure.
But I think, the piece that I have learned the most is I need to be, and I have the ability to be true to myself and do what feels right when it feels right. And, I just didn't feel I always had that. And there was a lot of conflict over that.
Sure. Is there anything that, looking back, any words of wisdom that you would give to someone who's just contemplating the idea of going out on their own, or maybe is doing it on the side right now and thinking about making the leap to doing it full time? Is there anything that you wish you would have known, or you would have known sooner maybe?
Have a backup source of income. That probably and even now continues to be, but not as significantly, but is the steady or the inconsistent income.
Yeah.
So just always having that backup.
Yeah.
And kind of diversifying, you
Yeah.
know, my streams of income, so to speak. But that truly has been the biggest challenge. However, once again, as I've grown in this, I've gotten better at not stressing about it as much because I know it's just go with the flow.
An ebb and flow.
It's a part of the business. So
Yeah.
I think when I've accepted that, it makes it easier to deal with.
Have there been places, one of the things that, so I think kind of the conversation we're having here is that it's amazing how like what you do as a career, as a business owner, really, it changes you as a person, and it changes everything in your life, and it touches everything in your life. And I personally feel like I have never known more about myself than after owning businesses, because you see, you know, it's kind of like having kids. You see, you see your good and your bad come out in other people, and that, and the way things work, and the, you know, the holes in the system, and you're like, ooh, that was probably something I should have done a little bit differently. But is there anything that you think you've learned about yourself that you didn't really know before you owned the business?
I think that I'm more capable than I would have given myself credit for.
You're stronger than you think.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good lesson to learn.
Absolutely, and sometimes you have to learn it the hard way.
Sure. School of hard knocks. We've all been there.
Definitely. Yeah.
Well, is there anything else that you'd like to share with anyone who might be listening that's trying to start their own business, or anything that you would like to end on?
Don't be afraid to reach out for support. You know, that's huge. You know, when I started, I mean, I consulted with, you know, I did the e-seed program at Fox Valley Tech, but then, you know, consulted with them and worked with a SCORE mentor for a while. And, you know, there's so many different resources out there. I think it's yesterday and today, it's National Small Business Week. And the SBA and SCORE has a wonderful virtual webinar these yesterday and today. And just some really neat topics. So you can just, I love the way it's set up. You can just log into the conference room, you know, on your computer. But use the resources that are out there, because there really are a lot. Don't be afraid to reach out for help and ask for help. But I also used to think when I started my business, well, I'll just get this set up and then I'll be ready to go. I'll just learn this and then I'll be ready to go. It never happens. You're constantly learning, constantly improving. And not just the business, but myself.
Right, absolutely.
You know, doing my own personal growth and development.
And then as you change,
exactly,
then the whole model changes, right?
Exactly.
Because what worked before doesn't work anymore because you're not the same person.
Right.
So that's the never-ending, exciting adventure, but challenge of it, right?
Right.
Like, it's quite fun.
Right.
And I would agree 100% on what you just said. That's probably one of the wisest pieces of advice I've ever heard. It's just because I think the myth is that every business owner that made it to the top got there on their own, and they were probably the only one brave enough to ask for help along the way. So
exactly.
I think that's a perfect place to land with this session. So I thank you so much for coming today, and I think it was a really great conversation. I always enjoy seeing you. So hopefully we'll see you at the next networking event.
Well, I hope so.
But the billable hours come first. I get it. All right. Thank you.
Exactly. Thank you, Brenda.